is Step 1 with Freddie Wilson. Welcome to another episode of Step 1. I am Freddie Wilson. As a reminder, you can find every episode of Step 1 on Spotify and YouTube. And if you want to see more Step 1, give me a follow on Instagram at Step 1 with Freddie Wilson and Twitter at Step 1 Podcast. This is our 50th episode, and I just want to take a second to thank everyone who has ever listened to this podcast. Thank you to all the guests I've had on the show. This was a crazy idea I had. I never thought I would get past one episode, let alone do 50 episodes. So thank you all. This really means a lot to me that I've been able to do 50 episodes of this podcast. And to celebrate 50 episodes, we're doing our first annual March Madness preview with my good friend, Jermey Spiera. And after that, I'm going to make my bracket for March Madness. All right, let's ride. All right, today we welcome on a very special guest, reoccurring guest, 50th episode of Step 1, March Madness preview. Jermey Spiera, welcome back. How are you?
Reader Hirschhorn Wilson, it's a pleasure as always. 50 is a big number, and we're here for the best week of college basketball, best week of the year, two of the best days of the year. So it's only going to keep getting better and better from Duke's ACC championship. What's going on?
I got to ask you, before we get into March Madness, did you think when you were our first guest ever that you would be here for our 50th episode? Be honest.
I didn't think you would make it to 5.
Never did I.
But I'm happy it's still going on. It's a good way to hear about sports from people who also know not necessarily that much about sports.
I don't claim to know much.
Exactly. It's people knowing nothing, saying nothing, and love every second of it.
All right. So let's dive in. I got to pull up the bracket because honestly, I have not looked at it that much.
I've got it in front of me as well.
All right. Let's take a look. All right. So you texted me when we were talking about recording this. You want to start with Auburn, saying that Auburn is cooked. They're a 1 seed.
Auburn is a 1 seed. They are obviously okay, but they're kind of cooked. They lost 3 of their last 4.
But they lost against good teams. I mean, Bama and Tennessee are 2 very good teams.
Agreed. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games, though. I've never seen a number 1 overall seed lose that many of their last games going into the tournament.
Because if this happened earlier in the season, if they lost 3 out of 4 games in December or January, that would have been bad, but they could have been a number 1 seed. But this is a little different.
They've been considered the runaway 1 seed overall for the entire last 2.5 months of the season. And I think at some point we have to start asking questions about the SEC money that they give the NCAA and how that impacts some of the decision making you see down the line.
Because I know you hate I know you're an ACC guy. I know you hate the SEC. Look, SEC's got some fun teams, though.
SEC's got some fun teams. I don't hate the SEC teams. I hate the people who decided that a 6-12 in-conference team of Texas is NCAA tournament worthy. If you lose 66% of your games in conference, I don't think that makes you a March Madness worthy team.
Who's Texas playing? Who are they playing? And what seed are they? I haven't even seen them in there.
Texas is in the first 4, so they're an 11 seed. They're playing against Xavier. They were one of the last 4 in.
All right. Yeah, there are some doozies in playing UNC. A little bit of a doozy.
UNC makes no sense. That's again, you have to wonder why they're making these decisions. We know for a fact that college football is what funds all of NCAA sports. It's the big powerhouse of all of this, and the SEC is where that all sits. And we know that there is strong NCAA bias towards the SEC in football. This is the first time we've seen it in basketball. That being said, UNC also should definitely not be on this list.
Yeah, UNC has no business losing to Duke 3 times.
Should be in there.
Not a great season for Duke. Or not UNC. My apologies. Classic mix-up. Let's talk about Duke. Cooper Flag. He's healthy for a tournament, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he's playing.
He's playing. Is this team all the way? By the way, just a hypothetical, they might play Oregon in the Sweet 16 if we each, assuming we each win our first two games.
I
It's a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. It's very possible. I will say Arizona has been playing their best basketball lately.
I know that's what I'm nervous about if we have to play Arizona.
But Duke, I'm not really worried about anyone until the Final Four for Duke. The entire East region is full of powerhouse offenses. It's teams that can put up crazy numbers. It's going to be a hectic, really fun region. That being said, there's only I think two teams in this entire side of the bracket who've shown the ability to be elite defensively. That's Duke, and then that's St. Mary's has been a very good defensive team. And I think that Duke can shoot and play offense with the rest of these guys, but they'll be able to control pace and
Hold
stop
on, I'm
these
getting
guys
a
from making
pause.
plays.
Yes, Mother? Hi, Molly. All right, back to the show. So we were talking about Duke. You said we talked St. Mary's defensively.
Yeah. Other than that, you have teams like Alabama, Wisconsin,
Yeah, those are
Arizona,
all offensive power. Oregon to an extent too.
and this is the best Duke defensive team that we've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah, we have
Hey, what's
Molly
up?
here.
What does she
All right,
think of SEC bias?
what you figure, Molly? What are your thoughts on the SEC bias in the tournament? Molly put her money on UNC. They are in the play-in tournament. Molly is all in on UNC. Huge Tar Heels fan. She
I'm
did have
rooting
to
for
ask
UNC.
if
I'm rooting for all ACC teams
all
this year.
ACC teams.
Yes,
I'm
everyone.
rooting for. Well, I mean, I got to root for the Big Ten, but I don't want to root for Big Ten teams. At least like the Big Ten teams I can tolerate are in it. No Washington, none of that nonsense.
What do you know about Oregon's first match with Liberty?
Well, last time we played Liberty was in football and we beat them, so I'm not worried about Liberty.
Okay. You know, the 5-12 has been about a 50-50 winning percentage in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know. And usually when we're in a 5-12, we're at a 12, and we usually win as the 12. But
Okay.
I think, you know what I'm really mad about? What time the game starts at? 10 o'clock Eastern time. That is too late.
You're gonna
At least it's on a Friday. It's not a school night or anything. But like,
think about a perfect way to cap a full day of watching college basketball.
well, I'll be at work for most of the day. But if you
Or,
think about it, 10 o'clock Eastern time is too late to start a basketball game.
I
Like,
agree.
I
But
do it for football, but basketball, I'm gonna do it, obviously. But it is a sacrifice that I'm not feeling.
I get that. But I think you will get a lot of people watching the game because during the middle of the day, the 2 p.m. games, you've got three games going on at once. You don't have everyone watching. I think you gotta love that Oregon's gonna get that attention.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna get the love and attention we deserve. We're gonna show the country what we can do. Because I think when we are playing our best basketball, we can beat anyone. And I really do believe that. I'm not saying that as like a cheesy comment. Because we beat Bama, we beat Texas A&M, we beat Wisconsin. We can beat teams when we play our game. We haven't always shown up.
I think that with a lot of teams in the East, anyone can win pretty much any game. Again, Alabama plays like some ragtag AAU team. They just run and gun. They don't really have great fundamentals or are doing much that really makes sense from a scheme standpoint, but they're athletic. They are good shooters. Mark Sears obviously is a great point guard. But again, I'm not worried about teams like that for Duke. Duke is going to need to, if someone's going to beat Duke, they're going to have to play a complete game. And I don't see many teams in the East who can play a complete game. I wish I watched more of Oregon earlier on in the season.
Yeah, because we were playing better early on in the season. We went undefeated before conference play,
Yeah,
and
no,
we
I know you guys were great.
beat Bama, beat Texas A&M, big wins. But once conference play was a little rough, Michigan, Michigan State, not our friends.
Mhm. Michigan
But
State's real though. Michigan
Michigan
State,
State's Michigan State's a good team. They should have won the. I think they should have won the Big Ten tournament. It just didn't work out for them. But I think they're a good. They're a solid team. All right, which side
both
of the
for,
bracket are we talking next?
you direct me, your podcast,
Let's
Fred.
go. Let's go Midwest. We got Houston number one seed. Houston's legit. They're always good.
Houston's legit. They have some potentially tough games early. They're going to see Gonzaga in the second round. Again, Georgia was like 8-12 in conference play. They're going to lose.
Snuck their way in. Gonzaga always makes the Sweet 16. So if we see a number one seed lose early on, it's going to be Houston. But I still think they're a very good team.
Yeah, I mean, I could see. We'll get to the South later, but I could see Auburn losing. Anyways, Gonzaga is a really good team. It's a team that knows how to play in the tournament. I think Houston will beat them, but I think that it's a pretty unfortunate seeding for them that Gonzaga would be their second round.
Yeah,
Uh,
like Tennessee has a way easier path than as a two seed.
100%. Then in the third round, they could end up seeing. I mean, I'm just going at the 4 or 5 is Clemson, Purdue. Purdue has been really cold lately. I'm not. I don't think anyone should be worried about them.
But
Clemson.
Braden Smith's a pretty solid player.
I agree. Braden Smith is great on offense, but he is a liability defensively that is hard to hide when you get to March Madness. And I think that there is an important factor. Some teams come into the tournament hot, some teams come into the tournament cold. A lot of people come somewhere in the middle. But that's why you see conference champions usually do well in the first weekend. They're coming off that high and they're coming off that confidence. Um, and Purdue just really doesn't have that.
Yeah, Purdue does not have that. But I will say, I don't know if you've ever been to a game at Purdue, electric atmosphere.
I have not, but I've heard it's fun.
Mackey Arena is pretty cool. I highly recommend. I bet it's no Cameron Indoor Stadium, but it's still really cool.
That's not that doesn't need to be our comparison point for everything. But I will say again, um, Houston does have some obstacles to get around, but I do see them making it decently far just because I think they're so talented.
I mean, it's a tough. I think the Midwest may be one of the tougher regions because you got Kentucky as a three, so you got Illinois at six. Illinois is not a bad team.
Yeah, I will say another thing that I find crazy about this is you have a lot of ridiculously good 8 and 9 seeds. We can cover this at any point you want, but the combination of Gonzaga, UConn at the 8 seed, Louisville, who's a KenPom top 15, AP poll top 10 team at an 8 seed, is just embarrassing for the tournament to be giving Louisville an 8 seed. So some of these I think that's going to give us some fun games in the first weekend with some of these high ranked teams, with some of these 1 seeds. I haven't seen something as dangerous out of these 7 seeds than I have out of these 8 and 9
I mean, you
games.
have Kansas as a seven seed.
True, if Kansas gets really hot, they can.
Hunter Dickinson's a stud. Kansas knows how to win.
Kansas should know how to win. They have not lately. Um, and by this point last year, they had essentially given up on the season. We'll see what happens. This is really their last chance with this core. Obviously, Hunter Dickinson's 38, and at some point he's going to have to retire. And
He's 38. He's not 38.
he actually is, but
He's old.
yeah, he's an old guy. But anyways, I think that Houston has a tough road, but I see them coming out of that region. I think Clemson is my dark horse. Again, I think the ACC is crazily underrated, and I think that that's something that we're going to see again, like we have every year for the past 5 years, where the ACC is treated like a mid-major and then has multiple teams in the Elite Eight, Final Four, etc. I wrote down a list of how the ACC has performed in the last few years, considering they've been number 3 or 4 for in terms of the amount of teams that are getting into it. But in 2024, we had NC State in the Final Four. which was an ACC team, and then there was two other Elite Eight ACC teams, which was Clemson and Duke, and actually Duke lost to NC State, which means who knows if we would have had more.
I had the text drafted to you because I was in Utah at the time. Final Four was in Phoenix. I
Mhm.
thought like if I'm ever gonna have a shot of going to a Final Four, it's gonna be with you somehow. Unlikely. It's unlikely. I know it's unlikely, but I had it ready in my mind. I'm like, I'm in Utah. I have the days off. I can drive to Phoenix. Can you take me to the Final Four? But I didn't want to tell you it before the game was over because I didn't want to jinx anything. I had it in my mind though because I'm
So
like
nine jinxed it.
I may
Then
have.
2023, we had Miami in the Final Four. 2022, we had Duke and UNC in the Final Four. So when you're talking about a conference that's had very few teams compared to other conferences getting into the tournament every year, that there's been a Final Four ACC team multiple years straight, and that the ACC has had a really good record in the tournament. Again, I think that that's something the that the NCAA has not taken into account, and it should. And that's why I do think Clemson's my dark horse for the Midwest region.
I like that. I like that. All right, let's move in to the West. Florida number one seed. I think Florida. Just a vibe. I think Florida's going to win the whole thing. They're due.
They
It just
haven't won
seems like
since
a Florida year.
2007. They haven't won since 2007.
They're due.
They're very good.
They won the SEC tournament. I know UConn, assuming UConn wins, UConn will be a tough matchup, but I think they have a tough road, not as tough as Houston. I I mean St. John's is great, but I don't think they're being Florida.
Let me tell you one of the fun teams to look out for in the Western Conference, or in the Western bracket. Why don't we take a look at Maryland for a second? Um,
Maryland's a stud team. Whoever number 25 is on Maryland is a stud. I don't
so
know his
Maryland
name.
Maryland is great, and if you look at their losses, this is one of the most interesting things. Their losses are all unbelievably close games.
I was
Um,
at that Maryland Purdue game early
mhm.
on in the season.
And so the question is this were the was the fact that they were losing those games, was that proof that they can't win close games, in which case they could be losing early? Or is that a sign that they're due theirs and some of these different shots can roll their way towards the end? Um, they're dangerous. St. John's, I think that they're going to be doing pretty well. I don't know. Florida's the one SEC team that I do think is pretty legit. Obviously, Auburn is good, but I think that they're still overrated.
Yeah, and I just feel like Florida is due for a win. It has been a long time since Florida's been good at basketball. Like, yeah, they've been okay, but no, this is like a good Florida team. Even though I can't name a single player on the team and I have not watched a single second, I'm going off vibes. I haven't made my bracket yet. I'm making it after I record this.
Oh, shoot. So I shouldn't be giving you advice.
Oh, you
Um,
should be
Want
absolutely
to
be
watch
giving me
Florida? Watch
advice.
Walter Clayton Jr.
Walter
This
Clinton
dude
Jr.
is really, really good. He's a dog. He's a great shooter. He can create his own shot. I'm checking his stats just so I'm being accurate.
Mhm.
He's averaging 17 and a half points a game this season. And he's shooting 38%, 37.7% from three. But if you watch the games, he's not getting wide open catch and shoots. He's taking step backs, tough shots, and he's hitting them at a pretty good clip. He is the heart and soul of this Florida team that is extremely talented. And he poses a matchup problem for most teams because he can make difficult shots. And in March, sometimes you just need someone hitting tough shots, someone clutch, and they have that dude in Walter Clayton Jr.
All right. But let's see. The three seed is Texas Tech. I think UNC Wilmington, I mean, they ended Delaware's incredible run in the whatever conference tournament that was. I wanted Delaware to win so badly. I had that game. I was watching that game like, how funny would it be if a team with a losing record made it to the tournament? Like, it's
Yeah,
all.
I haven't watched any other UNC Wilmington games.
Never have I. I've never even. I didn't even know they were good until I watched that game.
It's always a shame when teams you don't expect win these games, and you don't get to see them. But Texas Tech is going to win this.
Yeah,
There
Texas Tech's pretty good.
and it's a 3-14. I know those sometimes turn around, but I don't want to. I don't think we need to go crazy thinking we need to fix all these upsets because I don't think that's going to be one of them.
No, I usually don't go. It's just the 4 to 12 or 4 to 13 you can get behind, but like 3 to 14 you're never really gonna pick, unless like you really know something. Like I may have asked for some inside information that your Colgate was in it. I asked her good friend Eli Heard, like, tell me straight, like, do I pick Colgate?
And what did he tell you?
He told me not to. But I just like thought like I you've watched a game or two, like, are they legit?
um,
Any other teams in the West region you think like could make a run? I mean, obviously there's UConn.
yeah, I mean,
Arkansas could be good.
no,
You don't
I'm
think
not.
Arkansas's got it?
I'm not behind Arkansas. Again, let me pull this up.
You're not a woo pig. Woo pig.
Let me pull this up. Go. Arkansas had a losing record in conference. Can we stop talking about teams who couldn't win half of their games in conference? Um, and I know the record is 20-13, and they played a lot of good teams. But remember, a lot of the games at the beginning of the year against bad teams. Then they lost the majority of games in conference. And LSU and South Carolina combined for 5 and 31. Arkansas, some of their wins are against those two teams. So they're not really winning much against these good teams. I think there's a chance that they could squeak by Kansas because Kansas is so inconsistent. But again, can we stop pretending that these SEC teams that can't win games in conference play are going to beat other
Well,
people?
isn't that a testament to how good the SEC is?
I think that the SEC was really good this year. And I think that there are 7 or 8 teams that are very legitimate. I'm just going to go through Auburn, Florida, Bama, Tennessee, A&M, Kentucky, Mizzou, Ole Miss.
What about Mississippi State? Come on, don't hate on those dogs.
They would be a great NIT team, as would Vanderbilt, as would Georgia, as would Arkansas, all of whom are 8-10 in conference.
It
Um,
is shocking how many SEC teams. I knew like they were floating that number out, and I'm like, no way, there'd be 13 SEC. Like that's more than half the conference.
that's the entire. So there's 14 SEC teams. The
And
conference is 16 people. There are 37 at-large bids this year that were given out. Of those, Florida won, so they were an auto bid. But of the 37 at-large bids, they gave 13 of them to the SEC.
and
That is,
they're generous to the SEC.
yes, they are unbelievably generous. Again, I know UNC could have not made it. West Virginia should have been in the tournament. Um, Indiana should have been in the tournament. The fact that they are pulling these teams based on the fact that they were in this conference to me is just absurd. And again, I think that I will be proved right. I'm putting a lot on the line here because I know I'm not agreeing with the majority of the professionals here, and I could be proved very wrong, but I think that I will be proved right. These teams that have losing records, definitely not making it outside of the first weekend. Um, and the top 6 teams are going to potentially be all right, but a bunch of these other teams in the middle are just not that impressive to me.
All right, are we ready to move on to the South region?
Yes, this is the region.
Auburn number one. Michigan State number two. I think Iowa State is sneaky good. I mean, they're not sneaky good. They're a three seed for a reason.
So there's a lot for me to say about this bracket. Why don't you tell me which team you want me to start with? Because I have things to say about Auburn. I have things to say
We've
about
talked
Michigan
extensive
State.
about Auburn. That's where we started. What do you have to say about Michigan State and Iowa State?
Okay, I'll start off with Iowa State. Iowa State is not coming in cold per se, but they were so good at the beginning of the season. Are they going to be able to figure out what they had going so great for them early? I know at one point in the season, it felt like a three-way runaway with Duke, Auburn, and Iowa State. Um, then they kind of slipped a little bit. They're still very good. They're still dangerous in the tournament. I don't know what they need to do to pull that back off. Michigan State has been the favorite for this bracket from all the professional opinions I've read from everyone on TV. Again, how much do they actually know? Not necessarily that much, but that's what a lot of people have been saying. Michigan State is a very good, very complete team. Michigan State always knows how to um, compete against high level teams. And I think that they have a good chance of being the team to come out of this bracket as well. I don't want to. I don't want to say that Iowa State does not have a chance, but I think it's really this one is a top heavy three-way race between Auburn, um, Iowa State, and Michigan State, which I know is just taking the one, two, three, but I think that this is a pretty difficult side of the bracket.
You don't think A&M is going anywhere?
The only way A&M goes somewhere is if Louisville beats Auburn, which I think is possible.
I mean, yeah, but I think Louisville Crane is probably my favorite matchup of this bracket.
I agree. It's going to be the best first round game. Again, I'm going to go about this again. This is where I'm going to get so frustrated. How the absolute fuck is Louisville an 8 seed? Louisville is an AP top 10 team. Top 10. An 8 seed would be you're barely in the top 35 teams. They have a very good record. They pretty much their only losses are to Duke, who is the best team in the country, and they have a very good defense. They have a very aggressive style of basketball. They have guys who can hit shots. They have a really, really good backcourt, one of the best backcourts in college basketball. The fact that they're an 8 seed is utter disrespect to the ACC. Honestly, puts Auburn in a really tough situation because that is not someone you want to see the first weekend. And again, Louisville is playing Creighton, who is also a really good 8 seed. Think about the difference of playing Creighton versus playing Georgia or Baylor. Those are completely different situations. Creighton is a very good team. They have beat a lot of very good teams. Um, that's going to be my favorite game to watch as well. I'm totally with you. And whoever wins that game does have a legitimate shot of winning the second round.
Yeah, I think like Crane was like hanging in with St. John's. Then St. John's went on a good run. Which, by the way, that atmosphere in Madison Square Garden with St. John's was electric.
St. John, well, I
I know
wish
it's their home court and all, but like it was electric.
I wish I were able to go to or I went to more St. John's games or any St. John's games. They're supposed to be such a fun fan base. Freddie, I want to know who you have coming out of all four corners of the bracket.
I mean, I haven't made my bracket yet. I mean, obviously in the East, I want it to be Oregon. It's gonna be Duke. I think that's a given. Out of the Midwest, you know, it's not gonna be Houston because Houston has to play Gonzaga, most likely. I'm gonna go. You know what? I think we're gonna go with a spicy one, and it kind of going off you. I think I'm going Clemson again. I might change this once I make my bracket, but I'm going off my vibes right now. I'm going Clemson, and then West. I'm going Florida because I think Florida's gonna win it all. And then in the South, it's not Auburn. I think Michigan State It's a top heavy bracket that I'm making. But again, who do you think?
I like your picks. I got Duke. I got Clemson. Um, I'm I think that Florida has a good shot, but I'm gonna go with the Johnnies. Let's see what they got. Let's see that Patino magic keep going. And then
The stripper magic?
I mean, look, whatever gets these kids testosterone running, you know. And then I don't know. I'm between. I don't want to pick Michigan State because I think that's going to be a common pick. I do think they have a good shot, but I am going to go Iowa State. I'm going to say they find whatever magic they had earlier on in the season. It's not like they've been cold lately. They've still been very good. Let's see Iowa State hit it.
All right.
Maybe see some upset teams that have beat some top seeds and go farther that way.
All right. We got about 9 minutes left. Your favorite subject, the women's bracket.
Ooh, let's take a look.
Let's take a look. NCAA women's bracket. I mean, I have decided that I think it's going to be. Let's take a look. Yeah, I got to find one I can actually see.
Teams they have. Same
There's the
stuff.
same amount of teams. The women's bracket. All right. We got. I know Oregon plays Vanderbilt, which I've already texted our good friend Jacob Feldstein about making a friendly wager. He has yet to respond. Um, Obviously, like with women's basketball, it's very top heavy. You don't see those big upsets, especially because the top four seeds get to host home games. Um, I think UConn is due, and I just think it would be such a shame if Paige Beckers plays all those years at UConn. I know she was injured for two of them without winning a title at UConn. So I just feel like UConn, they haven't won since 2016, which for UConn, it's an eternity.
Yeah, I haven't watched much this year. I know that Paige Becker is. I'm always gonna be rooting for her. She's a lot of fun. Duke winning their first ACC tournament in a while, but I'm gonna stop talking about them. Especially, just Cara Lawson gets her props. Go Duke, but they get to avenge the men's team with the Lehigh game. But I'm with you. I like the UConn pick. I don't really know as much about women's basketball or
I've
college this year.
watched I've
But
watched a decent amount. I watched a lot of Notre Dame games. I had the opportunity to go see the women's team play Boston College. They're a good team. I think they're a sneaky good three seed as well. I think I like that we got two Big Ten teams. USC is a stud. I think if we get a USC UConn game, that's going to be electric, and that could happen because we have that. That could be an Elite Eight game, and I really want that. But Notre Dame, I think, could be Notre Dame could win the what do they call it? The Birmingham Regional.
Birmingham Regional.
They don't
Okay.
call it the South. They call it you got what cities do you think? There's two cities for the regionals. There's four regions, but two cities. What two cities out of all the great cities in America do you think they picked?
So I'm gonna guess that one's Birmingham.
One is
Yeah, just
Birmingham.
a random guess. Okay, I have it open. It's Spokane, Washington.
Yep.
Which you got to put some respect on Spokane, Washington. They go crazy there.
I mean, they got Gonzaga. They got Eastern Washington. They got Washington State nearby. So yeah, they're. I've never been to Spokane.
I can't believe that you just said that many things about Spokane, Washington. I would have been able to say zero of those things.
Well, I don't know that much about Spokane. I do think though a spicy take. Tennessee women's team.
Okay, where are they?
If first off, her coach is really hot.
Ooh, ooh. Let's take a look.
Kim Caldwell's her name. Big fan of her work. All they do is launch threes. So when they get rolling, they are very fun to watch, and they are making shots. The thing is, they beat the record like by like January of most 3 pointers made in a season, and they made it in January because Pat Summitt was not a big 3-point shooting team.
The most you said?
So they beat the program record for 3-pointers made, and I think they did it like January, February. Like they had a good chunk of a season left because they did was launch threes. And I think Pat.
Those teams are bracket busters. You never know what you're going to get from them because
So
they beat
Tennessee,
everyone.
the Tennessee women's team is I know they're a 5 seed. I know they have to go on the road, and they have to go play. Most likely, they're going to have to play. Oh, they're going to have to play Ohio State most likely, and that's a good team. That being said, watch out for the Tennessee Volunteers in the women's bracket.
I'll keep an eye out.
All right, let's go over our picks for the women's bracket because you know I'm making a women's bracket too.
Of
All right,
course.
in the region 1 of Spokane.
Hmm.
I think I got to go with UCLA. I think NC State's a good team, but I think UCLA is just the way better team.
Okay.
Region 2, South Carolina. I go on another number 1 seed. I don't know how much Duke women's basketball you've watched, but I think South Carolina is just too darn good. They deserve. They're a good team. Not as good as last year, but they're still good.
Okay.
I'm in the Region 3. I'm going Notre Dame. I know they're a 3 seed, but I've watched a lot of Notre Dame, and when they get rolling, they're good. That is the region Tennessee's in, but I think Notre Dame at the end of the day is the more complete team. And
Okay.
Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles, a lot of fun when they get rolling. They're both great players. I've watched the most of Notre Dame.
I can tell.
Well, I saw them live. I watched an entire Notre Dame NC State game, so I'm big on those teams. And then in the Region 4, I'm going UConn. I have UConn to win it because I think UConn is just due. I really want a UConn US. I want Juju Watkins versus
Yeah.
Paige Beckers. I want that matchup more than anything. I don't even care who wins. I just want that matchup.
Not just you, women's basketball wants that matchup. That's where you get all the new viewership. That's what you have with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, although Angel Reese was really only famous because of Caitlin Clark. The rivalry and the stars bring the game forwards. So I'm with you. Let's see it. Let's see Juju Watkins, mini Mello versus Paige Beckers.
Yeah, like I can't think like that's the bracket I'm watching the most because that's the most top heavy bracket. Like, well, I have no idea how good Oklahoma is, but I know that's the most top heavy bracket because there's some good teams in there. And then, is there any other teams that snuck? I don't know about the teams that are in the first 4, to be honest, on the women's side. I can't say I watch a whole lot of Columbia or Princeton women's basketball. Who do you have on the women's side
Wait, what is this for?
for first 4? Columbia and Princeton are both in it.
Give me give me William and Mary
Okay,
because they
for
have a
first
losing
4.
record. Because they have a losing record, and that's pretty hype. Um,
I like that.
what are they in the SEC?
William
Give
Mary
me,
is not SEC.
yeah, give me Princeton, give me Washington, because by the way, we forgot to talk about how the Jews have owned March Madness. The 3 top teams in the country have Jewish coaches. We'll cover that later.
I mean, yeah, Bruce Pearl, Massachusetts Jew, represent.
Oh yeah, Bruce Pearl
I
is
love
now.
seeing representation.
Huh?
Never played basketball either. Love seeing representation.
Exactly. Todd Golan for Florida. So we got a good chance of seeing a Jew cut down the nets this year. That's pretty
We
fun.
want we want we want our people.
Exactly.
All
Let's
right. Quick. All right, quick. Who your final 4 for the women's bracket?
my final 4. All right. Well, I gotta go Duke, though I'm not a true believer. We've had an awesome season. Better than any season we've had in a long time. Carl Lawson, all the respect. But we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go with Texas. When you see a team with 31 wins, you gotta believe in them. Especially women's basketball, that's so top heavy. Then, really quickly before this ends, I am going to go UConn, and I am going to go LSU.
Okay, I like that. All right, this has been awesome. 50th episode. No better way to spend it. Okay, so now that we've previewed the bracket, let's make a bracket. All right, we're going to start with the South. Uh, I'm not the type of person who thinks a 16 seed is ever going to be a one seed or a 15 seed is going to be a two seed. So we're just going to go with Auburn winning first round. All right, Louisville Crane, the game I'm most excited about. I know Louisville's good. I'm going Creighton. I just think Creighton knows how to win. Creighton just seems like they always go to the Sweet 16. We're going Creighton. Michigan, obviously, love the Ivy League. They're not winning. So this is the fun one. Ole Miss, if UNC makes it, they're not winning. San Diego State could, but I'm going Ole Miss. Iowa State, obviously. Marquette against New Mexico. So, there might be a 10-7 here, but I'm going Marquette. And then Michigan State, of course. All right, obviously, we're going Auburn. I'm going to go with Michigan. I feel like they're a Sweet 16 team. Iowa State, and then Michigan State. And then this is where it gets fun. Auburn, Michigan. Does Auburn really have it? I'm going to say yes. And then it's a tough one. I got to go with Michigan State because I just think Iowa State is a little isn't as good as they were to start the season. And then this is where Auburn's not making the Final Four. So I'm going Michigan State, and that is my winner out of the South. Is that what I said at the start of the show? I do not remember. All right. Duke, obviously. Mississippi State, Baylor. You got to go with Baylor. Mississippi State, great story. I'm going Baylor. I'm going Oregon all the way, obviously. Very sweet. And then Arizona, BYU, going Wisconsin. St. Mary's because they got good defense, as Spira said on the show. And then Alabama. And then Duke going. It's a toughie. I'm going Oregon. I got to ride with the Ducks. And then you know what? We're going Wisconsin. And then this is a tough one. St. Mary's, I know they play good defense. I know they played a good conference. But I got to go with the Tide. And then, hate to say it, we're going Duke. And then we're going to go Wisconsin. John Tajay, I think if they get rolling, they could beat Alabama. And then we're going Duke, Final Four. All right, in the Midwest, we're going to Houston. We're going to go Gonzaga. We're going Clemson. We're going Illinois. We're going Troy. You know what? I'm going to do a 10 seed. I'm going to go Utah State. I'm going to shake things up, try to predict an upset. And then Tennessee. Tennessee's winning that one. Then Kentucky, Illinois. Got to go Kentucky. I'm going Clemson over Purdue. And then I'm going Houston. And then obviously, I know Clemson's good, but I'm going Houston. And then I think we're gonna go with Houston. All right. And then obviously I've said Florida's gonna win. So we're just running it. And then UConn will beat Oklahoma, but I don't think UConn's good enough to beat Florida. Memphis. Then we got Maryland. I think Maryland is gonna beat Memphis. Gotta go Missouri, Texas Tech. I'm gonna go with Kansas and then St. John's. I'm gonna go out on a limb in here. I'm gonna pick a bold upset. I'm gonna go Kansas over St. John's. It's a bold move, but I kind of like it. And then I'm gonna go Texas Tech, and then Florida. So this is my final four. Mostly it's all one seeds, mostly one seeds. We're gonna have Florida win, and then I think they're gonna play Duke, and then I think Florida's gonna win. And how many? I think there's gonna be between the two teams. I think there's gonna be about 80 points scored between the two. No, let's go a little higher. Let's go like 90, 95. No, 100. All right. That is my bracket. Submit. All right. That's my bracket. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for watching. This was our 50th episode. We could not have done this all without you. Big Fred, over and out.